Freddie Mercury performed at thousands of concerts throughout his career. But what happened in Barcelona on July 13, 1986, was one of those moments he could never forget. Because that night, a little girl whispered 3 words in his ear that completely changed Freddie's world. 18,000 people witnessed that moment, and no one could ever forget what happened. Before we dive into this incredible story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell, because the story I'm about to tell you reveals the healing power of music and shows the real person behind a legend. July 13, 1986, Palau de la Catalana, Barcelona. 7-year-old Sophia Martinez being there that night wasn't a coincidence. Her story began with a tragedy 6 months earlier, and that night's events weren't just a chain of coincidences, but almost like pieces of destiny falling into place. On a cold January morning, Carmen Martinez left home as usual to drop off her daughter Sophia at school. Carmen was a vibrant, energetic 32-year-old woman whose life revolved around her daughter and music. As a stay-at-home mom, Carmen's greatest passion was Queen's music. She'd been a fan since 1975, and their home was filled with Queen's entire catalog, posters, and even rare bootleg recordings. Carmen's love for Queen went far beyond ordinary fandom. Every morning while cleaning, she'd sing along to Freddie Mercury's powerful voice, and her daughter Sophia would smile watching her mother's joy. The music was like therapy for her. On difficult days, happy moments, while cleaning, while cooking, Queen songs were always playing. By the time Sophia was just 3 years old, she had memorized every word of Bohemian Rhapsody and would sing it with her mother. Freddie Mercury's stage performances especially mesmerized Carmen. She'd watched the Live Aid performance she'd recorded on VHS over and over, telling Sophia, "A voice like this will never come again. This man isn't just a singer, he's like a magician." Carmen's dream was to see Queen live one day, but their financial situation didn't allow for it. On the morning of January 19, 1986, after dropping Sophia off at school, Carmen was heading to the grocery store. A Queen song was playing on the radio, "Love of My Life." While Carmen was driving and singing along, a truck driver from the other lane fell asleep at the wheel and switched lanes. The collision was so severe that Carmen died at the scene. "Love of My Life" was still playing on the radio. Miguel Martinez's world collapsed the day he lost his wife, but the real challenge was telling his 7-year-old daughter that mommy would never come home again. That night when Sophia saw her father crying, she asked where mommy was. Miguel had to look into his daughter's innocent eyes and say, "Mommy went to heaven, sweetheart. She's with the angels now." In the days that followed, Sophia completely withdrew. She stopped talking, stopped playing, even stopped wanting to eat. The Queen posters and albums around the house seemed to make her mother's absence even more painful. Miguel thought many times about putting those things away, but he couldn't. They were Carmen's most precious possessions. One day Miguel heard sounds coming from Sophia's room. When he went in, he found his daughter singing Bohemian Rhapsody. But this time she wasn't with her mother. She was alone and tears were streaming down her face. "Is mommy here, Daddy?" she asked in her tiny voice. That's when Miguel realized that music was the only bridge his daughter had to reach her mother. After examining Sophia, Dr. Elena Rodriguez explained to Miguel, "Your child has experienced trauma, but her response to music is encouraging. Music can have a therapeutic effect. Maybe you should continue playing her mother's favorite songs." This advice changed Miguel's life. Every day he would play his wife's favorite Queen songs and watch Sophia slowly begin to open up. As months passed, Miguel discovered how deep his daughter's relationship with music truly was. Sophia could sing every Queen song she'd learned with her mother perfectly, not just the lyrics, but Freddie's breathing patterns and intonations too. It was as if her mother's spirit was flowing through her voice. In May, Miguel heard on the radio that Queen was coming to Barcelona. This was Carmen's biggest dream. "One day I'm going to see Freddie live," she would always say. "Then you'll understand what kind of magic is in his voice." Miguel was torn that night. The ticket prices were very high and a huge burden for their already tight budget. But Sophia's connection with her mother couldn't be broken. When ticket sales began, Miguel bought front row tickets with the equivalent of 3 months' salary. For him, this wasn't just a concert ticket. It was a way to keep his daughter's love for her mother alive, maybe even a way to reach Carmen's spirit. When he got home and showed the tickets to Sophia, the little girl's face truly lit up for the first time in months. "Are we going to see Freddie, Dad?" Daddy?" Sophia asked. "Mommy always wanted to." Miguel took his daughter's hand and said, "Yes, sweetheart, we'll go for Mommy and we'll tell her how much we love her." That evening, Sophia listened to her mother's old Queen albums and said, "Daddy, can I take Mommy's picture? I want to show it to Freddie." Miguel's heart broke, but he couldn't refuse his daughter's request. He found Carmen's favorite photo, mother and daughter both wearing Queen t-shirts, one of their last pictures taken at home. Both were smiling in the photo, Carmen hugging her daughter, Sophia holding onto her mother's Queen t-shirt. Until the concert day, Sophia kept talking to that photograph. "Mommy, we're going to see Freddie. Didn't you want to meet him? I'm going to meet him for you," she would say. When concert day arrived, Sophia spent hours getting ready. She wore her mother's favorite Queen t-shirt, fixed her hair the way her mother used to, and of course brought the photograph. Seeing his daughter's seriousness, Miguel knew he'd made the right decision. This wasn't just a concert. This was a sacred journey. When they arrived at Palau de la Catalana, it was still afternoon, but there was already a line forming outside the doors. Sophia held the photograph tightly in her hand, quietly watching the other people in line. There were excited Queen fans all around, some in costumes, some singing songs, but Sophia was different. She was on a mission. Security guard Carlos Vega had been doing concert security for years, but that day he couldn't help but notice the little girl in line. While other children were running around excitedly and shouting, Sophia was quietly holding a photograph and looked quite serious. When the doors opened, Miguel and Sophia took their front row seats. As the venue slowly filled up, Sophia studied the stage carefully, where Freddie would come out, where the microphone was, the piano's position. She was memorizing every detail in her mind. The middle-aged woman sitting next to them noticed the photograph in Sophia's hand. "What a beautiful picture," she said. "Is this your mommy?" Sophia nodded and said in her innocent child's voice, "Yes, but she's in heaven now. I'm going to introduce her to Freddie." The woman's eyes filled with tears, and she looked at Miguel. Miguel could only manage to say, "We lost my wife 6 months ago." This conversation was also heard by other people around them, and soon Sophia's story spread to the nearby rows. People began looking at the little girl with different, more compassionate eyes. A Queen fan told Sophia, "Your mommy will be here today too. Don't worry." Someone else said, "Freddie will see you, I'm sure." As concert time approached, the venue filled up and energy began to rise. While 18,000 people waited for Queen, Sophia was still quietly looking at her photograph, whispering to her mother, "Mommy, it's about to start. Freddie's coming out and I'm going to introduce you to him." When Queen took the stage, the venue exploded. 18,000 people stood up, screamed, shouted. But Sophia's attention was focused entirely on one person, Freddie Mercury. The moment she first saw him, she felt her heart racing. This was the man from the video recordings her mother had shown her over and over. Freddie was giving a magnificent performance that night. With his white suit, charismatic presence, and that legendary voice, he was mesmerizing the venue. During every song, Sophia sang along word for word, tears streaming down her cheeks. She wasn't just singing, she was calling out to her mother's spirit. As Miguel watched his daughter, he wondered how her tiny body could carry such intense emotion. Every note, every word was like a letter sent to her mother. The people around them were also beginning to notice that this little girl was different. When the acoustic section of the concert arrived, the atmosphere changed. Freddie sat at the piano, and the venue took on a calmer mood. This was exactly the moment Sophia had been waiting for. While Freddie was chatting with the audience, the little girl gathered all the courage she'd been building up for 6 months. "Freddie, por favor," she shouted in her small voice, raising the photograph as high as she could. The venue's acoustics were perfect, and thanks to the relative quiet, Sophia's voice reached the stage with crystal clarity. Freddie was someone who always picked up on individual voices from his audience. When he looked up toward the front rows, he saw a little girl with tears in her eyes, stretching her arms toward the stage. What she was holding was a family photograph, and there was such determination on the girl's face that it completely captured Freddie's attention. "What's happening, little angel?" Freddie asked, his voice carrying throughout the venue thanks to the microphone, mixing the English words her mother had taught her. Sophia said in a trembling voice, "Esta es mi mama." Then she continued more clearly in English, "This is my mama. She loved you so much. She's in heaven now." The venue fell into complete silence. 18,000 people held their breath, witnessing this unexpected moment. Even the tough roadies stopped their work and began watching what was happening on stage. What Freddie did next surprised everyone. Ignoring rock concert protocols, he left the stage. Security formed a corridor, and Freddie came to the barrier, right in front of Sophia. He knelt down to get to the little girl's eye level. "She's very beautiful," he said, looking at the photograph, his voice still on the microphone. "Just like you, sweetheart. What's your name?" Sophia became a bit shy, but with the courage her mother had given her, she said, "Sophia, and you were my mommy's favorite singer." Sophia wasn't thinking about anything anymore. Her mother's spirit was guiding her. Unable to control her emotions, she went through the barrier and hugged Freddie around the neck. This image was captured by cameras, but what mattered wasn't the visual, it was what was happening in that moment. Freddie gently welcomed the little girl. He was a very experienced performer, but this was different. This wasn't a planned stage show. This was a real human connection. He felt Sophia's warmth, her pain. Right then, Sophia whispered the 3 words her mother had taught her into Freddie's ear. "She loved you." These words were in English because Carmen had told her daughter, "Speak to Freddie in English so he'll understand." These simple 3 words tore down all of Freddie Mercury's walls. The man who had conquered Wembley Stadium, who had defied critics, who had captivated every stage he'd ever set foot on, was completely helpless in the face of a child's pure love. Tears began streaming down his cheeks. His shoulders began to shake. He was crying in front of 18,000 people. This wasn't performance anxiety or stage persona. This was Farouk Bulsara, the human being, giving his genuine response to another human being's pain. The walls he had built over years had suddenly collapsed. The wireless microphone system continued to pick up their conversation. Feeling safe in Freddie's embrace, Sophia began talking about her mother. "My mommy would always sing your songs while cleaning the house," she said in her small voice. "And she told me, Sophia, there's magic in Freddie's voice. This voice heals people." Every word was being broadcast to the venue through the microphone. Sophia continued, "When I had nightmares at night, Mommy would come and sing your songs, and my nightmares would go away. But Mommy's gone now, and I still have nightmares." Those listening began to cry upon hearing these words. Freddie tried to compose himself, but he was struggling greatly against the little girl's innocent honesty. "Your mommy's love didn't disappear, little angel," he said, trembling. "It's living in the music now. It's living in your heart." "But I can't see her," Sophia said, "and Daddy is very sad." "Your songs could make Daddy smile too, couldn't they?" This question was so innocent that Freddie completely broke down. Brian May, watching from the stage, would later recall, "I had never seen Freddie cry during a performance, but this little girl had found something in him that none of us knew existed." The crowd's reaction was unlike anything concert veterans had ever witnessed. Instead of cheers or applause, 18,000 people maintained respectful silence. They instinctively understood they were witnessing something sacred. People sitting near Sophia began approaching them. A woman took Miguel's hand and said, "You have a very strong daughter." Someone else said, "Carmen is here. I can feel it." Strangers were becoming family. A few minutes later, Freddie slowly pulled away from Sophia's embrace. His face was streaked with tears and makeup, his usual perfect stage appearance completely abandoned. But he had never looked so real. Looking into the girl's eyes, he made a promise. "Sophia, your mommy's love didn't disappear. It's living in this music, and I promise you, I'll remember her at every concert." What happened next went beyond just a concert moment. It became a transformation. Freddie stood up and took the microphone in his hand. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said with his still trembling voice, "tonight we learned something very special. Music isn't just entertainment. Music means love. Music means memory. Music means healing." Pointing to Sophia, he continued, "I want to dedicate the rest of tonight to this little angel and her mother Carmen, because they reminded us what music really exists for, to keep love alive." Freddie completely changed the planned set list. For the rest of the night, he gave every song a different meaning. He sang for Sophia, for Carmen, in memory of lost loved ones. Lighters began lighting up throughout the venue. 18,000 people were crying together, singing together. Every song became a prayer. Every note became a tribute to the power of love that transcends death. This Barcelona concert became a permanent turning point in Freddie's approach to performance. After that night, he would search for individual stories in his audiences at every concert. The most striking change happened in Sophia herself. In the months following the concert, her grief began to transform. She no longer spoke about her mother, only with sadness, but with joy. Freddie heard my mommy's voice. Now mommy isn't dead. She's living in the music. Miguel Martinez watched his daughters change with amazement. Sophia became a completely different person after that night. Her pain didn't go away, but she learned to transform her pain into strength. Freddie maintained contact with the Martinez family through letters and occasional phone calls, something he had never done with fans before. He would remember Sophia's birthdays and ask about her school situation. Years later, when Freddie was facing his own mortality, he told friends that the Barcelona concert had taught him the true purpose of his talent. We're not just entertainers, we're guardians of love, keepers of memories, healers of broken hearts. That little girl taught me why I really came into this world. Sophia Martinez, now an adult with children of her own, still keeps that photograph from that evening in a place of honor in her home. Inspired by Freddie's response to her childhood grief, she became a music therapist. She opened a music therapy center called Casa Carmen in Barcelona. She accepts everyone: disabled children, traumatized adults, elderly people. At the beginning of every session, she shows her mother's photograph and tells the story of that night. Music isn't just something we listen to, it's something we live inside, and love is the same way. When the two come together, seemingly impossible things become possible. Today, Casa Carmen has become an international symbol. Music therapists from all over the world come to get training. Sophia's methods are taught as courses in universities. Sophia's children are also continuing this legacy. Her son Carlos is studying medicine and plans to work with his mother. Her daughter Carmen has decided to become a musician. Every year on July 13th, on the anniversary of the Barcelona concert, a She Loved You night event is held. People share stories of their lost loved ones, with Queen songs playing. Tears and laughter mixed together. The video recordings of that night were never officially released, but bootleg recordings became one of the most treasured possessions among Queen fans, not just as a musical performance, but as a document showing the most beautiful side of humanity. Many Queen fans in Barcelona can't forget that night. They call themselves the Miracle Witnesses because they know they witnessed a real miracle that night. This story shows us that music isn't just sound waves. It's a carrier of love. Freddie Mercury didn't just sing songs that night. He carried a mother's love to her daughter, a daughter's love to her mother. The moment Sophia said, "She loved you," was proof that love transcends time and space. Even though Carmen Martinez wasn't physically there, she was present in her daughter's voice, in the tears in Freddie's eyes, in the hearts of 18,000 people. Music was keeping her alive, carrying her love to future generations. Sophia still keeps her mother's photograph in a place of honor in her home. That night, she reflects decades later, "I learned that love never really dies. It just finds new voices to carry it forward. Freddie became a bridge between my mother and me, and now I try to be that bridge for others." On the wall of her home, that photograph still hangs. Carmen and little Sophia, smiling in their Queen t-shirts. Next to it are other photos, the backstage shot, with Freddie, Casa Carmen's opening, photos of healed patients. Every evening when Sophia puts her children to bed, she sings Queen songs to them. In her voice echoes the love of 3 generations: Carmen's voice, her own voice, and her children's future. Sometimes, in very quiet moments, when only music is playing in the house, Sophia still feels it, her mother's breath, Freddie's warmth, the magic of that night. Because some moments don't just remain as memories, they become part of the soul. If this story moved you as deeply as it moved those 18,000 people in Barcelona, please hit that like button and share it with everyone who believes in the healing power of human connection. What was your most meaningful musical moment? Share your story in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, where the magic of compassion through music continues. 'Cause love never dies, it just finds new voices to express itself.